You think you're so damn smart. And you think you don't have to play straight with anybody. The wheel is gonna turn. It always does.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourselves?
My name is Aaron Dallison, bass player and vocals for Axioma.
I'm Cyril Blandino. I play guitar in Axioma.
This is Justin Meyers. I play guitar in Axioma.
Aaron, Cyril, Justin, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start with, how would you describe the music of Axioma?
I would describe it as, because I kind of would rather people decide for themselves, but just as a general term, I would say it's just dark metal. Or if you want to add some flair, some Stygian metal, but that's pretty much it. I try not to get in too deep into any labels or anything. Let the journalists do that.
Yeah, pretty much dark, extreme metal. There's no, I don't think there's any other way to describe it.
Yeah, I think I always feel like we have a combination of sounds, but I think darker themed sort of covers a lot of that. So it saves us from all the adjectives.
Maybe we could add something with dynamics to it, but yeah, otherwise it's pretty extreme in its form.
Now, is the pace at all important to your sound? Is it important that you guys, when you say dark, go for a more restrained pace, or are you as comfortable playing faster songs?
That's pretty interesting question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Right.
I love both, and for me, one is more powerful than the other when they're combined and say in the same song. If you play something fast, then if you go into a dark, moody, clean guitar part, it's that much darker and more moody, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, one extreme to the other lends themselves well to each other.
Right. I think they're both powerful in a way, like the very slower parts combined with the more aggressive ones. It makes it for like both extreme in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I'd probably just mimic what Cougar said, but I think we never really limited ourselves to a certain format with songs either, which I like about this band is that we've never, okay, this has to be fast, this has to be slow. It's more just whatever benefits the song.
Right.
Is how I've always felt, at least for writing.
And when Justin says Cougar, he's talking about Cyril, who developed the nickname Cougar because people in the United States can't fucking pronounce Cyril.
Cyril, yeah. It's a nickname I've had since 1999 when I was still in France, because I moved to the US in 2001, not speaking English either. And so I already had that nickname, but yeah.
Oh, I thought it was because we couldn't pronounce it.
Well, it helped. It was easier,
I did too.
It was easier for me to say Cougar than Cyril. So people said Zero or Cyril, but yeah.
So just wanted to clear that up. when we say cougar, we're not talking about older women going after young men.
But I don't know what we're talking about. The music. Yeah, I think that what I personally didn't want with this band is like a straight line of just grind or anything straight all the time for 10 songs. So we have a lot of dynamics in most of the songs, not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah, for me, dynamics are extremely important in music. In my old age these days, I need to have different planes of different feelings, sometimes all in one song.
So we can rest our wrists.
Right.
And all the hands.
And we'll speak about the dynamics more when we talk about this latest album. I'm curious, in addition to changes in pace and having both fast and slow parts, is it also important for you to have both melodic and discordant parts? I
enjoy it. It's not really a conscious decision in the way I approach it. It just happens that way. We never sit down and be like, and tell each other, okay, we want this to sound like this. We want this to sound like this. It's just a sum of its parts, and it comes out that way just from all the experience that we've had over the years playing different kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly. It just comes together that way. It's not necessarily planned per se, but there could be an idea of a very slow part, and then another idea from somebody else with a faster riff, and then it just comes together, and it just fits somehow. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'd say I don't think there's a conscious
I'm thinking of Pharaoh.
melody.
I'm thinking of Pharaoh, for example, the song Pharaoh on Crown. Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of, when we put things together, we just have that innate in our backgrounds. Just the melody just comes out just because we don't honestly, we don't even think about it. It just happens. At least it's not a preconceived thought, and it's never discussed. We just do it.
Yeah, I say that's the same for the dissonant kind of riffs too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's naturally how some of the riffs come together. So it's not a planned idea to make something.
Yeah, just weird finger position stuff and dissonant. It just comes
the
naturally.
nature of the riff. Yeah.
Pretty much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about the history of the band a little bit. Can you tell me how you guys all met and what led you to start playing together?
Well,
It would be Cougar.
yeah,
The best on that.
well, it started as a side project really around 2013, 14, I would say, with some ideas, which became riffs from Opia, the first EP that came out. And I first, I think, met Justin. Then we started to work on riffs both together. Then John joined on drums, which I knew John from playing with him in another band here in Cleveland. And we went to the studio. We had a couple of different singers, bass players. And this is where Aaron came last when we were in the studio. And he just came in, recorded his part and sang on it. And then it's been the same lineup since until now, pretty much.
And did you guys know Aaron through the scene?
Yes, but yeah, because of Killhall personally, and then other bands that he's been in.
Yeah, I actually saw Cougar at a show. I couldn't tell you what the show was, and he had mentioned this project, and I didn't really have anything going on at that time, and he said that he was just gonna play bass himself on it, and I said, well, shit, give me the songs and I'll take a crack at it. So I went in the studio and laid down some tracks, and then as I was doing that, I had a couple of vocal ideas and I threw those in as well. And then next thing you know, I'm doing vocals for the damn band too. Not my intention by any means.
Now, Cyril, as you're coming up with riffs for that first EP, did you have a clear idea of what you wanted Axioma to sound like?
Not really. Just at the time, I was in another band that was taking literally forever to record. And so I just wanted to do something else. And at the same time, go back to something a little bit more extreme in the extreme music department, I would say. Because when I came from France to the US, I was in a band called Morgue. It was a death metal band. And then after that, I was in a bunch of different bands that were completely different. A lot of them instrumental too. So I just wanted to go back to something a little bit more with faster pace, but not just that. And those riffs were that on the first EP. And then from there, after the EP came out, we all started to collaborate more together. And that's what we've been doing since.
So maybe we can talk about that in a little bit more depth before we talk about this new album. How do songs typically start for Axioma? What's this collaboration process?
I think it will always start with the riffs from someone, and then we all participate and then just make it come alive, I guess. I would say.
Yeah, so that's pretty accurate. I think on Opia, I mean, the majority of the riffing was Cougar put together.
Right. Because I thought I was going to do it all by myself, actually.
Right. And then we developed from there. But I think the last two records, it seems more like we just end up coming to the room and everyone brings something.
Right.
And that's sort of how we sort of do it organically like that.
Yeah, it's rarely like no one comes and says, here, I have this song and here it is. It's like, okay, I have a group of ideas and let's all arrange it together and everyone has their input of ideas. And pretty much every song came together like that.
You do most of the arranging and the song structures together in the rehearsal space?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the last two records, yes.
In terms of the way that you guys arrange songs, when are you happy with an arrangement?
It's a difficult.
I say that's a little bit of a longer process because when we start writing stuff, we may have a skeleton of something, but I feel like we have listen to something for a few weeks or maybe even months with the last album, and then sort of finally coalesced into something.
Right. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
immediate by any means.
Yeah, it's morphing into something we all like at one point together, and then we just keep arranging, I guess, until we're all happy. I would say.
It's kind of like four dudes with a sculpture. You know, you start out and everyone takes a little away, whittles away, and helps form it. And it takes a time period of a few weeks or whatnot. You take it, you listen to it, and then more ideas come, and then it's kind of odd because once it's finished, you just kind of know it. You're just like, yeah, this is it.
Right.
And then, of course, we were like, well, we're not like, we don't want to write 15, 20-minute songs, which we probably could happen with the way that we do things. But we try to cut it off at some point and to make a full song.
Yeah.
spoke a little bit about the importance of dynamics for Axioma. During these group arranging and writing sessions, do you have a sense that a song may be going too much in one direction or the other and you need to balance it out? Or is that only something that happens after a song is done?
That's a difficult one because it's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah, it's a
I
little
would
bit-
happily do a song that's all blasting, but this is, nobody necessarily wants to hear that all the time either.
Like for example, we have that Septic song that's all blasting, on the new one. I don't know. I think we do what we feel like doing, and I don't think too much about it. Except riffs. When I'm by myself, I think too much about it, but I let them marinate it sometimes for a while. But otherwise, when we're together, I don't know. We just put the songs together.
Yeah, I feel like that's
where
going to be a
it's-
time thing eventually too, when we are happy with it.
Right.
Everyone's
because
listened
with
to
the
it.
arrangements and all that stuff, how many times this, how long that,
I've also been, like a lot of musicians I've known, and I've seen them fucking chase their tail, like with, okay, the song, it needs something. And then they just keep working at it, changing things. And then it turns into, it doesn't work. And I'm all about like, just getting it done, arranging it, doing the best with what you have, and then moving on, and then once you move on and say you work on another song, then you listen back, oh, okay, maybe we'll change this little part. But as far as,
this is what the fat to be trimmed and all that stuff.
I see no value in just toiling over something endlessly to try to perfect it. It's kind of almost about capturing a moment, To me, that's what a song is.
Cyril, I'd like to circle back to something that you said. When you say you spend too much time thinking about riffs, what does that mean?
Well, I maybe should have not said that, but no, I know how I work after maybe now, I don't know how many years playing, 20 or something, but I've got sometimes riffs that I put aside and I don't touch for a while, and then I come back to it years later and use it somewhere else, or with the band now, like certain things. But that's all. That's a personal thing where I've got riffs, and
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm 50 years old, and like maybe a year or two ago, I used a riff that I came up with when I was 16. I actually recorded it.
And I think those riffs, like I said, it's like you let them ferment somewhere, and it's not the time. They just come out like.
Yeah.
The perfect example is on the new album. There's one riff that I had since 2013, I think, which is one riff in the tower. It was just on a riff that I'd never put anywhere else, not even at the first Axioma or the second. No, it was just not the time.
Right.
And then sometimes that's what happens with that.
Yeah, when you hear someone coming up with ideas and then it's like, ding, oh man,
yeah,
I wrote this riff, 10 years ago that would fit perfect with that, and then there you have it.
So that's pretty much it. Nothing much.
I'd also add, like, for Sepsis, for the newest album, we spent a lot of time on those songs, so there was no rush to, we have to add this, we have to do this, or that's not the writing process really. It's like develops naturally, and then if something should be added, we'll add it, but we're not rushed to do it.
Right.
Yeah, like on this record, like in the past, we've used like soundscapes and some things in between songs. And once we had all these songs, we didn't feel that we felt like something like that might just take away from it. It'd be less direct. So we decided that was one of the things that we consciously decided. We probably had 5-6 kind of soundscape things that could have been used. And we felt that the songs kind of stood up without having interludes such as those. So we just left them off the record.
At what point do the vocals and the lyrics come into play?
after all of the music is recorded, pretty much, like for the most part, almost in the studio. Although there are the ideas and the concepts are already there. Justin actually comes up with a lot of concepts and lyrics as well. And then I go in and move things around and add stuff, and but it all pretty much gets arranged and done in the studio. It's almost like an afterthought, but even though when you're recording the record and since I'm a vocalist who's actually a musician in the band, that all that stuff is in your head tooling around while you're recording the record. So you're having ideas throughout all of that process, but most of it was done in the studio, because a few of the songs on Sepsis we were playing live, but they were instrumental. And then, like I said, in the studio, it all comes together.
Can you feel vocal patterns, or are you coming up with ideas for vocal patterns as you're playing the instrumental versions of the songs?
Oh yeah, definitely. And thinking, oh well, a vocal would be good here or not so much here. And then the more we play them as instrumentals, the more I get the feeling of where to put things.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else feels like this with you guys, but I feel like this band couldn't exist with just a front man. It has to be someone who plays the music.
Oh, yeah.
To me,
most
like
definitely.
Aaron's vocals, he understands the riffing and the way it's played, so the vocals are stronger because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas it's not over the top, but it's part of the whole thing.
It's part of the music.
And let's just face it, if there was a front man guy in this band, it'd just be vocals laid all over everything. And it would, in my opinion, all the vocalists I've worked with solely vocalists, it would, definitely probably ruin some of the vibe of some of the things that we're getting across.
No chill. No.
But that's just my bad luck with vocalists.
I mean, you have to have one spot where the vocalist can jump off the drum riser, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if somebody could pull some David Lee Roth shit like that, then I might consider having them in the band. No.
We got a jumper.
Segments of systems
So let's talk about Sepsis. It's the second full-length Axioma album, and as we're having this conversation, it will be released at the end of the week through Translation Lost Records. Cyril, you mentioned that some of the riffs on this album are actually quite old, and you mentioned that you guys have been playing instrumental versions of these songs for a while. But in terms of actually sitting down and arranging the songs on the album, when did you guys start to do that?
Well, there's always, as an album comes out, there's always at least a song or two that we're already working on for the following one. So we had a couple of songs like Aaron mentioned that we played live. I don't remember which ones.
Maybe Dark Ages, New Dark Age, possibly.
2 or 3 that we played live with our vocals, and so there's always new songs as one album is out. But as far as old ideas, it's only the one song, the Tower, that riff is older, and it was just the time to play it now on this album. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, going into this album, I mean, you guys have described your creative process as being quite intuitive and not really that calculated. But were there any plans going into this album to do things differently than your previous album?
I don't think so.
No, I think we pretty much did it exactly. The only thing we did different that I can recall is we had in our practice room, we had recording set up where we basically just did demos of the songs and gave them to Dave, the engineer, before we went in the studio.
Almost like pre-production almost.
Yeah, it was all pre-production. So we had that to give to him. He was already familiar with things. And at that point, we knew exactly what we were trying to get out of this record. And he actually commented, he was like, wow, you basically, I think what he said is you have your shit in a pile more than you did from the previous record.
Right.
Yeah,
and we were pretty prepared then as well.
I think that,
but that's the only thing different, I think.
Yeah, and to me, the one thing that's different are the songs, the riffs. I mean, you always want to try to do something that you just like to play and that's new. So that's what's different. There are new songs. There's no direction on doing this or that, heavy, this, and it's just playing new riffs and making new songs, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say this was probably the smoothest that last album that we've recorded in a way, as far as time and just having everything down with the pre-production, at least to me.
Yeah, recording in the practice space here and having the songs ready for the studio. Yeah.
And another different aspect was vocally. Because the studio that we tracked in was literally like a half a mile from my house, I would do the vocals like 1 or 2 songs at a time, and then, come back next week and do another 1 or 2 songs. So I would do a song, and then I would have the week prior to kind of reflect and see what I would want to do, and then I would go in the studio and work it out. So it was a lot more time getting the vocals done, which I enjoyed doing that. Maybe a little more focused, I guess.
Separate from the actual writing of the album, now that the album is complete and you can listen to it in its entirety, how do you compare it to the previous album or anything that you've done previously?
I think it's probably a bit more complex as far as a lot more. I mean, it's definitely, you can see from Opia to Crown to this, you can definitely transition for sure. It's a bit more complex. You could possibly even say it's more dynamic than anything we've ever done.
Yeah. More dynamic, more complex. And I would even say those songs are a little bit more, I believe, heavier even than previous maybe songs. Not that they were not heavy, but as far as riffs, I think some of the stuff is getting more complex and heavier at the same time. Yeah.
I think with Sepsis, we compared to Crown 2, I think we locked in on some of the type of sounds that we do well with blasting or doom parts or slower parts. I think this album is a little bit more of it covers the entirety of what type of things we're trying to do. Whereas Crown, some of those pieces, and sort of has that, all of the different parts that we like to play.
Would you say that this album has more of a flow to it?
I don't know if I could say that really. I think the songwriting is still strong, but we still have abrupt changes and things. I mean, it's by no means, none of it's ever been, 4/4 or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely not. No,
So,
I don't think so.
I mean, it's always sort of strange. The writing is, timing wise, is going to be different.
Yet flowing in a way.
Yeah, I think that's one reason why we decided not to put, like, say, soundscapes and things in, because we thought everything flowed pretty well with these songs, and then it ended up being right at the time frame to where we would have a decent sounding vinyl. So we would it just worked out. So as if it's, I don't know if it's any better or worse than any of the other things we've done as far as the flow. I like to think that they always flow pretty well the way we present it all.
And I don't know if we mentioned it, but like when this was recorded, I don't know what year it started, maybe 2018 or 19, prior to the COVID pandemic and everything. So we would come up to the room. We had a lot more time playing these songs, I feel, than we did ever in the past, because there just wasn't shows. There wasn't other things to occupy us. So we were sort of focused on just the songs.
So let's talk about the recording of the album. Where did you guys end up going?
We went with Dave Johnson, who he did the previous record, Crown. He has a studio at his house. Well, he did have a studio at his house. He has since moved about 40, 50 miles away, but we recorded it in his house. He's previously recorded Midnight, Fistula, numerous other projects that I forget, but
some Incantation in the past, possibly.
Yeah, I don't know if he might have done some incant, maybe not records, but some demo. I'm not sure. I'm not real sure. But we went there, tracked, and we all basically he mixed and mastered it. We were very instrumental in the mixing process as well. But yeah, we worked with him on Crown, or we had results, so we just went back with him again, and we're extremely happy with those results. And as you said earlier, it's Big Metal, Dave Big Metal Johnson. So that's, people might know him as that.
And I think the studio is called Bad Back.
Oh yes,
I
Bad
believe.
Back Studio,
Yeah,
Bad Back Studios. Yep. I'm sorry, I forgot to state that. But I do believe he's eventually, Bad Back Studios will be relocated to Akron, Ohio. I just heard someone telling me that he's got a new space that he's built, and then they just have to move all the equipment and stuff. So hopefully he'll be back up and running in a couple months.
And am I correct in saying that Big Metal Dave also worked on Opia on the first EP?
I think Dave mixed it.
Did,
right?
yeah. So
yes, he did.
For Opia, I went to a friend's house that I previously recorded there in 2003 or 4. And I just went to
Vince's, right?
Vince. Yeah, Vince. It's a friend of mine. I just wanted to record the ideas, so that's why I went there. Then we all ended up finishing the record there, but then we did take it to Metal Dave.
Yeah, I forgot about
mix it and master. But that's why it has a different sound, because it was recorded just at someone's basement with just basic recording things. So
why is this partnership with Big Metal Dave work so well? What is it about him or his studio that works for Axioma?
I feel that he understands exactly what we're doing. He literally understands it. I mean, we've known him for 20 years, maybe more. He played in and still plays in some amazing bands around Cleveland. He was in Ascension, Soulless, currently does Death Crawl and numerous other projects. He gets exactly what we're doing, and therefore, he knows how to get those sounds.
Yeah, I always feel like there's minimal conversations with Dave. Like he hears a song and then he has ideas immediately.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's just ready for whatever we are writing.
We don't even have to explain to him how it sound because he knows just because he's seen us live numerous times as well. He's seen all of our other bands and projects that we're involved with, and somehow we're just on the same page.
And as far as the mixing and mastering, what would you say Dave brings to your sound?
Oh, like once again, he knows what we're going for. And the fact that he's there from the beginning, when we hand him the demos, and then he's there from the beginning. He's tracking and then he's mixing, and I think that's a lot of bands I think lose some things when they take their music to different people to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that by any means, but for whatever reason it just works for us, like having him in that process.
Yeah, I think that he captures almost like when we play live. He gets the way he mixes us. I think it's pretty much like we sound live. I believe it's not too, I don't know what processed, or it's not it's not like overdone. It's just raw but clear.
I'd also add, I've never had a conversation with Dave that he's trying to make us sound like a certain thing. Right. He takes the song that we have and makes that song as best as possible. Like we're not trying to replicate something with him, which it almost goes without question with that type of engineer.
Yeah, I actually had to basically just keep twisting his arm to add vocal effects on some things because he doesn't, he likes that dry sound, that organic sound that we have, and he likes to keep it that way.
Are you guys very hands-on in terms of the mixing and mastering process?
With the mixing, yeah. We don't sit behind him. He basically, he comes up with a mix. He sends it to us, and we all
have notes,
make our notes. Yeah. And I think usually within like 3 or 4 passes, it's pretty spot on. As far as mastering, we let him do his thing with that.
Justin, do you want to say anything about the artwork?
Yeah, the piece that's the cover of Sepsis was probably maybe at least a year or two that it was being developed. And I had a few other ideas for the album cover that ended up not being used.
We should mention that, Justin, you painted this yourself, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a mixed media piece, but there is some digital coloring that I do at the end of it as well. But the work is sort of based on Frenzy of Exaltations by Podinsky and Fall the Dam by Rubens. So it has a little bit of that sort of Renaissance kind of feel for some of it, which I felt fit the music well. I think it's pretty tied into the lyrical themes and the overall feeling of the album. I'm happy with how everything turned out with it.
And you did mention that you come up with some of the themes and concepts for the lyrics as well, right?
Yeah, I'd say this album has probably the most developed lyrics that we have out of anything as far as like thematic type ideas. I'm sort of the same with Aaron. I like people to figure out for themselves if they're interested in it. You know, you can dive in more. There is backstories to a lot of these songs, but that's for you to discover if you listen to it.
You don't have to explain the lyrics, but do you want to say what some of those themes might be and how they tie into this Renaissance style artwork?
Yeah, I won't go into too much, but like say a song like New Dark Age has a little bit to do with some with religion and some with general forms of control on people. And I think the song sort of touches upon that, but it can also be interpreted a lot of different ways too. I don't like to push someone in a certain direction. That's never been my goal.
Yeah, like say the song "The Tower" is
that does
loosely based upon a place called the Tower of Athenor, and like I say, loosely based. And
yeah,
you know, there's a lot of speculation about what went on there and whatnot. You know, but
if you want to go down an internet rabbit hole, that's
yeah,
right. That's it right there.
But, yes, but yes, loosely based upon it. But yeah, there's always the themes of people controlling, mind control, and the use of it throughout, like with religion, and there's lots of dark themes as such that go through all of this material.
So by the time people hear this interview, Sepsis will be out through Translation Lost Records. I'm speaking to Justin, Cyril, and Aaron, and they're going to tell everyone how people can order the album.
I think probably the best option is Translation Loss, their website. They have the pre-order right now, but as you mentioned, it will be out on Friday. So that's probably the best place to buy it. They also have Bandcamp.
Yeah, I would say.
Ourselves, you know, personally, we have Facebook, Instagram, all of that. But is for the record, Translation Loss is probably the best place to grab it now.
Or if you happen to be at a show of ours, unfortunately, we don't really have a tour booked as of yet. So, but if you're anywhere near a show of ours, you can pick it up directly from us.
Do you want to say anything?
Friday.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Do you want to?
I just said we'll have them Friday at the show. You meet us in the back alley.
Yeah, right. Oh no, the show's Saturday, dude.
Saturday. Never mind.
It's okay. Unfortunately, I think this episode will be coming out 2 weeks after that.
That's fine.
Never mind then.
Sorry about that.
We'll still be hanging out in that alley.
We'll be back
Still
there
come
with
in
the
the back of
vinyls.
the alley. We'll still be there.
Hey kids, you want to see a dead body and some vinyl?
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of the vinyl, do you want to say anything about the limited editions that Translation Lost is putting out?
I think there's two pressings of it. I think one's a color merge and one is like a clear with a splatter. I think I don't know if you guys know anything more about the artwork. Should be the same for both, but
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's just two different variants of the actual. And we got ours, and I listened to both variants, and they sound exceptional. I mean, you know, of course they look cool, but the bottom line is how do they sound? So we're very happy that they sound very good.
And if people want to follow Axioma online and keep up to date with what you guys are doing, what's the best way to do that?
probably say Instagram is probably our most active, which is like Axioma Sound is the account on that. We have Facebook and a Bandcamp
There's a
too.
Bandcamp also that has music and some merch. Of course.
What do we have a Tinder?
Not yet. It's coming out in 2 weeks.
You guys need to get on that TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah, no, we don't have it. We don't do that. Yeah, I might be a little old or something for the TikTok. I don't know how to use it.
Same here. I could barely figure out Instagram.
I never used Zoom.
We're trying.
And you guys have a website as well, right?
Yeah, that's just axiomasound.com. That actually does have all the links for the record and for our social stuff too.
Now, Justin, we spoke about your artwork. Do you do artwork for other bands, and do you have a website for just for your visual art?
Yeah, I have a Behance for my portfolio, and I run Dark Art and Craft, and that has some of my artwork on it too. So you can find most of the other stuff there. I do albums there, not all the time. I probably had 2 this year. Did the Shed the Skin album, and working on Ancient Wisdom now. They have a release coming out later in the year. And also Perdition Sect that Aaron is in, did their album that was maybe 2000.
Last year.
So yeah, you can find most of that on Dark Art and Craft though.
Very cool. And in addition to the release show, do you guys have anything else coming up before the end of the year?
Yeah, we do, but I don't remember dates. These guys might remember dates.
Into the Darkness Fest, we're playing at West Side Bowl, and
It's July 24th.
yeah, that sounds right. I think it's Friday. We're
Friday
playing.
night. Yep.
It's
Like Macabre is playing, I think, and
yeah, Deceased maybe one of the days.
Imperial
and
Triumph. There's quite a few bands. There's a lot of bands on that actually.
doing that, and I think we're playing down in Cincinnati.
September 20th.
Southgate House Revival.
That I don't know the date. That maybe if you have it.
No, I don't.
I'm horrible. It is in September. I'll look on my phone. It'll take me forever to find it. And we're also playing in Cleveland with a band that hasn't played here in a long time. They're from here, called Sepsis. And the date on that
That's
matches me as
September
well.
16th.
September 16th on that.
Yeah, with Solipsist and Carnugia.
Cool.
This is a reunion show for Solipsist, and we're gonna be part of it, which is good. This is gonna be a great show here in Cleveland.
I don't think I know Slipsist. Do you want to say why they're important?
I have known them, I don't know, since the beginning of the band. They started to play a lot around here, and they had a big following, but they were playing 5 years ago. So they decided to do a reunion show, and we'll be part of it with them.
You might know some of the vocalist Noah Buchanan. He's one of the owners of Mercenary Studios, who they've done the most recent like Midnight Records, did a recent Ringworm Records.
Okay.
Like he also plays guitar in Unslaughter.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
he's a busy son of a bitch.
Right,
man.
he's and yeah.
But he's the vocalist in Solipsis, and yeah, he's been once when they stopped playing, it didn't slow him down one bit because he's super busy and very talented as well.
Very cool. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for
have
sure.
anything else?
Very appreciate.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.